Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's lecture is going about anaerobic culture methods, techniques how we can culture bacteria anaerobically. But before we're going to start there, I just want to tell you it's in your study guide on page 92, 93, 94, 95. I'm first going through the study guide with you, and then I'm going to tell you about my experience on growing bacteria anaerobically. But before we starting there, we need to know the different groups according to oxygen. And there's 4 groups. Number 1 is your strict aerobic bacteria. That is bacteria that's growing at only when oxygen is present. If oxygen is not present, they will not grow. Who is a typical organism of that? It is Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Now, Pseudomonas aeruginosa is a gram-negative bacilli. As you know, this is the organism that I discussed already with you, that when someone burns with oil or water or paraffin or anything, the first infection that they're getting on that burning wounds is Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Now, the next group is your strict anaerobic bacteria. That is bacteria that can only grow in the absence of oxygen. So they are growing with no oxygen. In fact, oxygen is toxic to them. Who, in your study guide, they tell you typical organisms on page 92 is Clostridium perfringens and Bacteroides fragilis. And there is a lot of other bacteria that's also strictly anaerobic. Where do we find this anaerobic bacteria? We find them in the intestines of humans, animals. We find them in fermentation tanks. We find them in sewage farms. There's a lot of places where we find these strict anaerobic bacteria. The next group, and that's the biggest group of organisms according to oxygen, is your facultative anaerobic bacteria, meaning that they can grow in the presence or the absence of oxygen. And that is normally the biggest group of bacteria. Now, if I can show you here, you can see Escherichia coli is a typical example of that. Klebsiella pneumoniae, Bacillus cereus, and Bacillus pseudomonas. Now, you know all these organisms because we discussed it already. Escherichia coli and Klebsiella pneumoniae is gram-negative bacillus, and Bacillus cereus and Bacillus pseudomonas is gram-positive spore-forming bacillus. Alright, so the facultative anaerobic bacteria is your biggest group of bacteria. Then we find also the microaerophiles, and they say there that is bacteria that is growing at a lower concentration of oxygen. Who's an example of that? It is Campylobacter jejuni. What is interesting about this organism? This organism is a gram-negative helical bacteria. It's not rod-shaped, not a cocky, it's a helical bacteria. That is quite interesting of this organism. This organism is an organism that's causing gastroenteritis in children under the age of 2 years, majority of the time. Alright, that's the first thing that we must know, is the different groups that we divide bacteria according to oxygen. Then there is transport medium. How do we transport a sample from the place where we take the sample to the laboratory? We had to make sure that there is no oxygen in that sample when we're taking it to a laboratory. And they state for you on page 92, they say the ideal anaerobic culture method must meet the following 3 criteria. Learn them. Non-formation of toxic oxidation reaction products when oxygen comes into contrast with the culture medium during preparation. Number 2, exclusion air from the medium during incubation and cultivation. Number 3, maintenance of low oxidation reduction potential in the culture. Now this low oxidation reduction culture, they discussed it for you in the next paragraph. If it's a positive value, then it means it is more aerobic. If this oxidation reduction potential is more to a negative value, then it means that is more anaerobic. Alright, now what can we put into the medium to make sure that this medium is more anaerobic? And on page 93 they say cysteine. Cysteine is an amino acid that contains sulfhydryl groups that easily donates its hydrogen to other organic compounds, and so the medium becomes more anaerobically. There's another one that they discuss for you there, thioglycolate. Thioglycolate is also a very important one. Now I'm going to come to techniques. What techniques do we need to grow these? They discuss for you on page 93 the anaerobic glove box or chamber. Now you can see the figure there in figure 21.1, and you can see the gloves on the outside. You put your hands into those gloves, and that glove box is totally anaerobic. There's no oxygen. So with every tube and petri dishes and inoculation loops that you're working inside this glove box, everything is in the absence of oxygen. Now, how do we use an inoculation loop inside here? No, we use an element to warm the inoculation loop, because we cannot use a flame inside there. We warm an inoculation loop against an element, and then it's sterile and we can use it inside. So nothing is going inside and nothing's coming outside of this glove box. The problem with the glove box is that it is very expensive, and not all laboratories can afford a glove box. Now, what gases can we use in this glove box? And that is quite important. You must know this. 5% CO2, 10% hydrogen, and 85% nitrogen gas. What do you see about this? That there is no oxygen available. Alright, so we pump these gases in so to make sure there's no other oxygen inside there. Alright, and then on page 94 they discuss the anaerobic jar for you. Now that is a technique that majority of laboratories are using, is the anaerobic jar, and you can see that in figure 21.2. How does this anaerobic jar look like? It's a Perspex jar with a screw cap on top and 2 taps on top. Now that is very important. You can see there inside is petri dishes. There's an envelope inside there. There's an envelope inside there that is producing gases, nitrogen, hydrogen and CO2. And you can see also there is palladium. What is that palladium doing? It catches the oxygen that is freely available inside here. But we don't need to buy these envelopes that we cut open, put some water in. There's a tablet in this envelope. When it dissolves, it releases CO2, nitrogen, and etc. But what we can do is we open both tabs. We open both tabs. We connect the one on the left hand side. We connect it to a gas cylinder that contains CO2, nitrogen, and hydrogen. Pump it through to the other side out. When we close, this is very important. We close first the one that is open, and then we close the one that is on the cylinder, that connection. Alright, so we let this gas flow through for about 5 minutes, replacing all the oxygen inside there. Close the one on the right hand side, close the one on the cylinder side. Okay, so that is quite a very important technique that we can use for anaerobic growth. Right, now sometimes okay, alright, lecture 2 will carry on with this anaerobic cultivation. Thank you.